6:38, good morning to you. I knew sandwiches would get you going.
Yeah, I can't remember why we were talking about sandwiches.
I just brought it up randomly.
The nation's most favourite sandwich has now been announced.
I brought up a sandwich. Yes. Cheese toasty.
Oh, I see. Well, Michael would agree with you. He says cheese and onion toasty. And Patrick says smoked ham and cheese with a dash of mustard and a packet of plain crisps to add in. Heaven on bread.
Oh, talking of crisps, Clive says a crisp sandwich with thick, soft white bread, plenty of butter. Not particularly healthy. No.
No, there's nothing in that that's particularly good for you.
No, a crisp sandwich. No.
But then a good sandwich doesn't, you're not going to a good sandwich just for health reasons, are you? David says it's no contest, it's got to be fish fingers and beans. Sandwich.
Felicity says a cheese beano. Beans on toast with cheese on top and bacon on top of that.
Cheese on top, bacon on top. That's quite nice. Clive says bacon and tomato dip. Bacon and tomato dip.
Well, okay.
But Dave has a secret.
Oh, go on.
He says, he's from Wirral. Hi, Dave. A fillet steak sandwich is the best butty ever. I can only ever make one when my wife is at work because she says a fillet steak sandwich is criminal. We all have secrets.
Oh.
I wonder what hers is.
Yeah. Karen, I like. An onion bhaji on a sourdough cob with lettuce and mango mint chutney. An onion bhaji sandwich, yeah, I could go for that.
I've never understood people who like a fried egg in a sandwich.
Oh,
to me, a
really?
fried egg should be on a plate.
Oh, no, a fried egg sandwich, yeah.
Emily says bacon, a fried egg, tomato and melted cheese.
Oh, no, I could do a fried egg sandwich. Definitely.
I don't understand that. Fried egg is something that should be on a plate with other things.
I don't know, but then you get all the yolk goes and lots of salt and pepper, a bit of brown sauce. Oh, Marmite, you know.
No!
Oh, lovely. Right, I think I might...
If I ever came to stay in your house and you offered me breakfast in bed,
all right.
you'd bring Marmite, wouldn't you?
Marmite on toast, yeah.
No.
I'll do you something nice, don't you worry. Let's have a look at the papers for you this morning. The Telegraph describes the Chancellor's plan to launch a raid on capital gains. It says it could raise nearly £16 billion as part of measures to fill the £50 billion public finances black hole.
The Daily Express says there are stormy times ahead as the UK faces its longest recession in a century.
The Mail, reporting on the Manchester Arena inquiry, which reveals several failings, several very large failings by the emergency services.
And HMS Wag sets sail, says The Sun. That's a picture of the luxury liner to be used by the Three Lions' wives and girlfriends during the World Cup.
Let's go through the papers in a bit more detail with former Chief Secretary to the Treasury, David Mellor, and broadcaster Liz Kershaw. Morning to you both.
Can I have my sandwich now?
What's your sandwich?
But I mean, this has been good for me watching this because I feel sort of embarrassed sometimes about my gastronomic habits, but I feel I'm quite actually extraordinarily boring compared to all this stuff you've been talking about.
Yes, I know, weird sandwiches. What's your favourite then?
Well, I have to admit that I'm a corned beef man with Branston pickle, but it's very dull, isn't it?
No,
Well,
it's
if it
nice.
works for you.
Yeah.
What about you, Liz?
Well, any sandwich, and by the way, butty, is a success if you get it all over your chin, down your pyjamas. You have to lick your fingers.
Too much
It's
information.
essential experience. And so the best one, Warburton's extra thick toasty bread, splattered with Anchor salted butter, freshly cooked hot crisp chips. Press it down, mould it round the shape of the chips, cut it in half, bite into it, butter everywhere. That's my my sandwich.
No one
Chip
said
sandwich.
chip
No, chip butty is better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's some weird things to put in.
Anyway.
It's lovely.
What about the papers? What do you think?
Well, it's more
But it's also desperately depressing.
doom and gloom. Isn't
Okay, well, I can promise you we're also going to talk about pop music and we're going to talk about Christmas TV ads.
Let's start with Tennant.
But for now, this is hidden away, really. This is the page, and the headline is Boo for Sue, and it's all about the Home Secretary, Sue Ellen, as she was christened, going to the camp, Marston Camp in Kent, and people who are being put up there booing her. But in the middle of that is something that caught my eye. Natalie Elphick, who's the local MP for Dover, said one mum of 7 was required to leave her privately rented property on no notice so it could be handed to small boat crossers. Now, this struck a chord with me because I got some really sinister calls from the local council, Milton Keynes Council, and I've had letters since. And over the years, I've worked 7 days a week at times, and I've bought properties, and I now rent them to young people who are friends of my sons who wouldn't otherwise be able to have a roof over their head, independent of their parents. They've no chance of buying anywhere, and they haven't got now maybe 3 months rent deposit, etc. So I give them a roof over their head. And I make money now because they're all paid off. But I don't.
You do it at a sensible rate, don't you?
I do it at low market rate, and I pay the council tax.
Yeah.
And so the council have latched on to me because I've come up on the council tax thing. Could we have your houses to put people in? No, you can't. Well, they're empty. No, they're not. I'm helping young people. Oh, are you? And then after the calls again. So this is going on around the country, and we have got a problem with accommodation. And there was the report out this week, the Office of National Statistics, about the number of people who are still living with their parents, and they're into their 30s. And for councils to, I don't blame the council. I don't blame county council particularly, because they've been really lumbered for the past 15 years. But for them now to be offering above market rents and guaranteed for 12 months, and landlords to be kicking people out to house people who've just turned up on the shore, I think is morally wrong.
I agree.
It's very different. I mean, but what are the solutions? Because even if you say, well, we need to build more camps to house people temporarily, that ain't going to happen in a hurry, is it?
No, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to join in this because I agree with what Liz says, and I wouldn't mind if you were moving on to an international story.
No, go on.
That will worry us, I think. It's in other places, but it's the front page of the Telegraph. Trump to run for president if midterms go his way. I mean, I think Donald Trump is one of the most damaging figures to have emerged from the weird world of American politics, because he doesn't read anything. He never prepares. He just goes and sort of busks his way through stuff. It's quite dangerous to have a president of the United States who...
But he did a rally yesterday, didn't he? And he still gets hundreds of thousands of people.
Because he is a character. The interesting thing, though, about Trump is, will he still be at liberty to actually run? Because there's serious charges now pending against him for various financial irregularities. But the thing about Trump, if Trump appeared in Succession or something, if Trump was a character in a soap, you'd say, they've really gone mad now. This is a totally unrealistic person. But Trump is everything that is really awful about American business, and he's becoming something that's really awful about American politics.
Well, a lot
the
of
fact he runs the Republican Party effectively is awful.
Well, every time he's mentioned, we get people watching and listening who quite like Trump, who send messages in. However, I have to say, what worries me about Trump is the fact that he has run the country, last time he was in, on division.
Absolutely.
It's about division, and I find that concerning.
See, that is a very good point, because I used to spend a lot of time in America in the 80s, and, sorry, there's a frightful name drop, but was friendly with Ronald Reagan. And the thing about Ronald Reagan, he was Uncle Sam. His job was bringing America together, and he rose above partisanship. He was chairman of the board, and everything he said was about trying to make America a happier, friendlier, more united place. What's become of people like him,
Yeah, it's a fair point. I'm sure you've got a view on that. GBViews at gbnews.uk.
Meanwhile, Liz, you've been looking at these songs that weren't enormous hits at the time they were released, but are now. What's going on?
Well, I've spent my time as a parent saying to my kids, how do you know about that song? Tottering around, Mum, have we got any Guns N' Roses? Like, How do you know about Guns N' Roses? So they've picked this up from video games.
Right.
And as they have with Journey's Don't Stop Believing. Well, I remember when they were about 15 and they had a party and all the kids going, don't stop. I'm like, where have you got this from? And it's from Glee. It was featured in Glee.
Yeah.
So my thing has always been, and since there were straps, literally captive audience strapped in the back of the car, unable to escape in seats, they've got to like music that I've played. So they liked when they were in primary school. They liked Neil Young. They liked R.E.M., etc., Guns N' Roses. And so my thing has always been, take from that, has always been, nobody just likes new music, and nobody says I only like music from 1968. So this is ironic because the BBC is so obsessed with capturing these young people as an audience who don't listen to the radio. They listen to streaming. They get their music from watching things on Netflix or video games. And there's a new chart being compiled of their favourite songs.
And these are songs that have been
These are from streaming. So, for instance, Bryan Adams, Everything I Do for You, which was 16 weeks at #1, and me and Bruno Brooks had to play it week in, week out. It's not the favourite Bryan Adams song because people have discovered Summer of '69, which is a brilliant song.
Great song.
Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. I mean, again, that's 1991, but my sons and their mates love Nirvana, and the list goes on. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Fleetwood Mac and Elton John are the biggest streaming acts, along with Ed Sheeran. And I mean, ABBA's Greatest Hits has been in the charts now for about 30 years.
Here Comes the Sun,
Yeah.
which was not a Beatles single release, was it?
No, it's an album track.
It was just an album track on Abbey Road. And of course, it wasn't even Lennon McCartney. It was George Harrison who wrote that one. It's now #1 of one of these streaming services.
Wow.
Top 10.
But people will discover music and like music. I mean, you know, when I was a teenager, I loved Duke Ellington and the Andrews Sisters, and you know, and I had no business liking that stuff. But I didn't say, oh, you know.
Well, where does Beethoven fit into this? Because I'm feeling a bit isolated.
Oh, I love that. I like people like Debussy and other sort of
this is
early 20th century piano music.
Well, classical music is streamed as well. There are
Yes,
especially for that.
It's true.
Yeah.
But the point is, classical music lasts. I mean, of course, I'm not against popular music, but I think, you know, classical music, you've got pieces written a couple hundred years ago that are still very popular.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like the Ovaltinis?
Yeah, go on and sing it then.
Yeah, the
Ovaltinis, happy girls and boys. Da, 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 da. Yeah.
Very good. I do find myself.
I used to like their squeaky voices.
Yeah.
I do find myself singing the songs around the supermarket when they play sort of 80s tracks and things. I end up singing along, embarrassing myself.
And
I'm going to tell.
Can I make an admission to you? One of my proudest moments was presenting a Lifetime Achievement Award to Frankie Valli.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
well done.
And what a great man. And he's still touring, and he's 80-odd now.
Good Lord, really?
And yeah, because those songs from the Four Seasons, what are they, 50s? Yeah.
Yeah,
But they're
50s.
still,
Yeah.
someone who's never heard them, you put them on, I can tell you, they will actually, people will go for that. You know, it's not just because they're old doesn't mean they shouldn't be played, but if they are played, and these streaming services allow people to explore a world of music that you wouldn't otherwise get a chance to do.
No, I think that's a very valid point.
Can I be indiscreet and just quickly say I got Stephen Dixon listening to music in his car last Friday, which is unknown.
What?
And what were we listening to? All the big swingers, weren't we?
Well, yeah,
Frank
Ella.
Sinatra.
Oh, yeah.
I do like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're wonderful tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a string
Ella
band that
Fitzgerald,
always did.
what a...
Oh, Ella's just.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of Ella
on it.
Fitzgerald albums,
Yeah.
because there are some people, and the moment they touch a song, it just changes. because there's a magic touch.
But don't you find as well that you have to be careful what sort of music you do play in the car, because it changes your mood. If you play something quite aggressive, I mean, if you played Beethoven's Fifth in the car, I would start driving too fast.
Yes.
You need to play a sort of more gentle or sing-along stuff.
I just recently had to go on a speed awareness course, and at the end he said to us all, "Now you're not going to do this again, are you?" And he said, "I'm going to go around now and I'm going to say, you're going to tell me you're not going to do it, but then I want you to tell me what would be the most likely reason for you to slip again." And he went round and then he came to me and he said, "Liz, under what circumstances might you be tempted to speed again?" I said, "If I was on an open road early in the morning with Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction on, turned up to 11, I might go over the speed limit." And it's true, and you just get something on, and
it has a direct effect on your mood and the way you drive, I think.
It does. It absolutely does. A friend of mine gave me the soundtrack to one of the Bond movies once. I can't remember, the one where Judi Dench dies, that one. And it put that on, and I had a little sports car at the time.
Yeah.
That made me put my foot down.
Yeah. Anyway, another tip that's good is get a karaoke disc for the car.
Yeah, sing along.
Sing along. It's brilliant.
But there's always music for every mood, everything that you're feeling. So if you're fed up and you're fed up with all this doom and gloom, put something on.
Yes.
And just get it off your chest.
Yeah.
Dance around the kitchen.
This is a new world.
Final word, because we've got 20 seconds left, David. What would you sing along to anything in the car?
Yeah, but I wouldn't inflict it on anybody else.
Yeah, on your own.
On your own
Sing
in the
along
car,
to
would be
it.
good.
Well, I sing along to these Four Seasons things. Walk like a man. I could do the falsetto, but I'm not going to.
That would have been something. That would have been a magic
I
moment.
used to be able to do the falsetto very well, but age has robbed me of my...
Oh, well, there you go. It's a cruel mistress. David, Liz, thank you both very much indeed. Catch up with you very soon, no doubt. We're back with all the top stories for you after the weather.